In the heart of a land shrouded in mist and legend, there lies a story that has traveled across generations. A story of seeking, of struggle, and of profound transformation. It begins with a quiet village nestled among towering mountains, where the people lived in harmony with the rhythms of the seasons. Life was simple but never dull, for the villagers believed their home was touched by the mysterious, a place where the extraordinary could reveal itself in the ordinary. At the edge of this village lay Lake Miraval, a shimmering expanse of water, bordered by wildflowers and whispering reeds. The elders told tales of its power, that any soul who gazed into its depths would see not just a reflection, but a vision of their truest self. Some said the lake's surface could reveal hidden dreams, buried fears, or the path to one's destiny. Others claimed to have glimpsed answers to questions they carried in the quiet recesses of their hearts. Yet the lake was rarely still. Most days, winds swept down from the peaks, stirring its waters into a restless dance. The surface would ripple and churn, distorting the images of those who peered into it. The villagers would crowd around its banks, hoping for a glimpse of clarity. But more often than not, they saw only fractured shapes, faces split by waves, eyes that seemed unfamiliar, and forms twisted out of recognition. Disappointment grew among the people. Some dismissed the legend as a foolish tale, a remnant of old superstition. Others mocked those who still believed, laughing at their persistence. But among them was a young man named Aaron, a soul restless not just in body, but in spirit. Aaron carried within him a storm of questions. Who am I truly? What is my purpose? Why do I feel so lost? His mind was a tangled knot, his thoughts racing like wild horses in the night. He yearned for answers, for understanding, and he believed with all his heart that Lake Miraval held the key. Every morning, before the village stirred, Aaron would climb the winding path to the lake. He would sit on the cold stone at its edge, watching the water for hours, waiting for the moment when the winds might die and the surface might settle. He stared so intently that his eyes ached, searching for a reflection that could speak to him. But day after day, the lake remained troubled, its surface never quite still. Frustration gnawed at his spirit. "Why won't the lake show me the truth?" he cried, his voice echoing across the water. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and painted the sky with hues of gold and violet, Aaron met an old hermit who lived among the rocks nearby. The hermit's eyes were deep and kind, and his face was lined with years of quiet wisdom. He noticed Aaron's weary expression and asked, "Why do you look so burdened, young man?" Aaron poured out his heart, telling of his daily pilgrimage, his hopes, and his mounting despair. "They say the lake reveals who you are," he said, "but all I see is broken images. I am searching for answers, but I find only confusion." The hermit listened with gentle patience, then smiled softly. "The lake is not to blame," he said. "It is your own mind you are looking at. When the wind blows across the water, it trembles. When your thoughts are noisy and restless, how can you expect to see with clarity?" Aaron frowned, uncertain. "Then what must I do?" he asked. "Be still," replied the hermit. "Just as the lake needs calm to reflect the sky, your mind needs silence to reflect the truth. The answers you seek cannot be forced. They come in moments of quiet when the storms within you have faded." These words struck Aaron deeply. For the first time, he realized that his impatience and his constant striving were like the winds that unsettled the lake. He had been searching for clarity outside himself, but the true reflection waited within. From that day forward, Aaron changed his approach. He no longer came to the lake simply to stare, hoping for a revelation. Instead, he sat quietly at its edge, closed his eyes, and began to breathe. He listened to the wind rustling through the trees, to the soft lap of water against the shore. Rather than resisting his thoughts, he let them arise and pass, like waves coming and going. He learned to be present, to feel the ground beneath him, the air on his skin, the heartbeat within his chest. Days turned into weeks, and something remarkable began to happen. The storms within Aaron slowly quieted. The knots of worry and confusion began to loosen. He found moments of peace, where the noise of his mind faded into the background and a gentle clarity emerged. He realized that the journey was not about forcing the lake or his mind to be still, but about learning to accept the restless moments and wait for the calm. One morning, as dawn broke and the village still slept, Aaron opened his eyes and gazed at the lake. For the first time, the water was utterly still. The surface shone like polished glass, reflecting the sky in perfect detail, the clouds drifting, the sun rising, the vastness stretching beyond the horizon. And there, in the heart of the reflection, Aaron saw not just his own face, but something greater. The endless sky, the infinite possibility, the peace he had so long sought. In that moment, understanding blossomed within him. The lake had always been a mirror, but only when he emptied his mind of noise could he see the truth clearly. The magic was not in the water, nor in the legend itself, but in the journey toward inner stillness. The courage to face his own storms, the patience to wait for calm, the wisdom to accept himself as he was. Aaron bowed to the water, his heart full of gratitude, and whispered, "Peace within, clarity without." When he returned to the village, the people noticed a change in him. His eyes shone with a quiet strength, his steps were lighter, and his voice carried a gentle confidence. When they asked if the lake truly held magic, he smiled and shared his story. "The magic was never in the lake," he said. "It was in learning to silence the storms within myself. We all carry winds that trouble our hearts, fear, doubt, impatience. But when we learn to be still, to accept the restless moments and trust in the return of calm, we discover who we truly are." The villagers listened, and some began their own journeys to the lake, not to demand answers, but to seek quiet, to breathe, to let their thoughts settle. They learned, as Aaron had, that clarity does not come from force, but from patience. That peace is not found by chasing it, but by allowing space for it to arise. The story of Aaron and Lake Miraval spread beyond the mountains, inspiring those who heard it to look within themselves for the answers they sought. People realized that their greatest strength was not in fighting the storms, but in finding the courage to sit with them, to wait for stillness, and to embrace the truth that emerged. In time, the legend of the lake became a symbol, not of magic, but of transformation. It reminded all who heard it that the journey to clarity begins with a single breath, a moment of stillness, and the willingness to look beyond the surface to the depths within. And so the story endures, a powerful inspiration for anyone who feels restless, lost, or uncertain. It calls us to pause, to breathe, to trust in the process of quieting our minds. It teaches that, in the end, the greatest magic we can discover is already inside us, waiting for the moment when we become still enough to see it. Let the tale of Aaron and the silent lake remind you, no matter how troubled the waters may seem, within you lies the power to find peace, clarity, and the courage to become your truest self.